What is up, guys? Patrick here for How I Became, and today we're talking to Jerry, aka Barnacules Nerdgasm. So, Jerry, how did you become Barnacules Nerdgasm?
Well, this is an interesting story. Well, actually, it started about 7 years ago when I got on YouTube and I was like, you know what? People are posting these videos. This is kind of cool. I honestly didn't know that you could make any money or do any of that stuff. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to review this mouse that I just picked up. It was like a Microsoft Sidewinder mouse. And I made the video. I think I used like a flip video camera for this. And I threw it together in Movie Maker. And it took me like 20 minutes. And I was like, really embarrassed about it. I was like, this is just crap. So I uploaded it anyways to YouTube, and it maybe got like one view a day for like a couple of weeks, and then started getting like 2 views a day and 3 views a day. And I didn't upload anything else for a while. And I was like, hey, this is kind of neat. People started leaving comments and interacting. They're like, oh, I've got this other mouse I think's better than that. And I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. So then I went and did another video, which I think that one was like reviewing some other little small piece of technology, but I didn't know anything about what I was doing. I was just taking a pic. I was basically just putting the video camera on something on a desk and talking about it. I wasn't showing it in use. I wasn't doing anything like that. And then I just kind of let it alone for a really long time. I didn't really do anything with my YouTube channel for like years. And then I started running into some other YouTube channels that I liked, like Woody Gamertag, of course, like the Wings of Redemption with all the game commentary stuff. And I really just kind of got re-engaged and interested again. And so I started sending mail to those guys, and lo and behold, I got a response. It had some really cool information in it. Started kind of following the formula, if you will, and things kind of took off from there. But still, it took probably 2 good years before I started growing at like any noticeable rate.
Okay, so how did you come up with the username Barnacules Nerdgasm? Because, to be honest, I couldn't even tell you what Barnacules meant. So, yeah, how did you come up with that username?
This is actually a really funny story because one, I didn't come up with it. I came up with the nerdgasm part. I thought that was clever, but the Barnacules part, that's been my name on the internet for as long as I can remember. And the name actually stems from a conversation I had one morning at complete random on the telephone. My friend Eric, he's one of my friends, works over at Bungie Studios now. He calls me up on the phone one morning, wakes me up. It's like noon, right? I mean, I'm a software developer. On the weekend, I sleep as long as I possibly can. And he calls me up on the phone. He's like, dude, where the hell are you? You were supposed to be over here like a half an hour ago, because I told him I was coming over that morning. We were going to do some stuff.
Okay.
And I was half asleep in bed, and I was like, dude, hold on. I got to jump in the shower and wash the barnacles off. That's what I said. I was just joking around, like, I got to get the barnacles off me.
Yeah.
I'm like, I got to get in there. And he just replied back, and he's like, all right, Barnacules, get your ass in the shower. And I was like, that was kind of a weird name. And then I was thinking, I was like, okay, it's like a barnacle and Hercules put together.
Okay.
And that's
yeah.
how I ended up spelling it. It's like the spelling is, basically you have like Barnacle and Hercules mashed together.
So that's why I
And
can't spell it then, because I
exactly.
tried to spell it and autocorrect didn't work. I mean, Googling it didn't work. So that explains why, it's two words combined.
It is a unique word to say the least. But yeah, it's funny. People butcher it all the time. Honestly, I have not had a single person on a first encounter come at me like vocal and be like, oh, hey, what's up, Barnacules? It's always, hey, what's up, Barnacules or Barnacles or sometimes they'll just keep saying Barn over and over and over again. It's really, really funny. But since it's one of those things where it was so weird and I wanted to kind of change it at one point because I was like, nobody gets it. But then I was like, that's kind of cool that nobody gets it.
It's a unique
It's
name.
all over. Yeah, it's a unique name, and I like hearing all the different variations that people come up with.
So you already touched on this, but I presume you started off making your channel is to make videos or to view them?
Well, I actually started off my channel to view. I did a lot of commenting on other videos. And when I uploaded my first video, that was completely on a whim. As a matter of fact, I think the only reason I uploaded that first video is because I bought one of those flip HD cameras. And
I remember them.
Yeah, remember these guys?
Yep.
I just pulled it out of the drawer like a half an hour ago. I still have it. The batteries are shot in it, and it won't take a charge. That's how long it's been, since 2007. And one of the cool features about this was when you plugged it in, the software was like, do you want to upload to YouTube?
Straight
And I was like, wow, that's actually, yeah, hell yeah, I want to upload to YouTube. Let's do this. So, that's kind of what started. It was just some gimmicky feature on a device that I bought from, like, I think it was Circuit City or something back in the day. And it kind of took off from there. But, like I said, I put it away for years. I mean, I started the channel in 2007, and I didn't even really transition it into the whole Barnacules Nerdgasm thing till several years later.
So that leads on to my next question, which is, like you said, you started off with a video and then you left it a bit, you made a few more videos. But who was your inspiration to start actually start making videos more regularly and trying to grow a community?
To be completely honest, my inspiration that really got me off my ass was Woody's gamertag. I thought that what he was doing was really, really cool for a couple of different reasons. Once, he had a huge following, and I was trying to figure that out. I was like, why does this guy have a huge following? I mean, he does these gameplay videos just like everybody else. He was playing a lot of COD at the time, and but the one thing that I noticed that was really different about what he did is he'd speak about, controversial issues. He'd talk about stuff that wasn't gaming related. He'd take questions from his fans. It was a very different format from what I was seeing with any of the other channels I was watching. The other channels were like, here we're watching a guy play a game and talk about the game. Woody was kind of a little different. He's playing the game and he's talking about whatever the hell he wants and like completely other stuff, and people were loving it. And including me. I used to watch it all the time. And then I started watching the PKA stuff, and I was like, oh man, this is just brilliant. I mean, bring a whole bunch of people together and just take the censor off and, and have a lot of fun. And so I was like, how can this guy be so diverse? He does these really edgy videos. He does videos that I would consider like family friendly. And then I realized the guy has a family. He has kids. Another thing that kind of made me relate to him, also moving on, was that he has a kid that also has I think he has autism. Yeah. And I also have a son that has autism. A lot of people don't know that. So you're going to break the news. No, but anyways, I have a kid. His name's Xander, and he's about 4 years old, and he has autism spectrum, and it's very, very mild. I mean, he's a super, super high functioning autistic child, much like Colin. And so the message I originally sent to Woody was after watching one of his videos where him and Colin were interacting, and it was the first time that I had seen Colin. I was like, wow, this is actually really cool. And my kid at the time, I was like, a year, he was like a year and a half old.
Okay.
And so it kind of gave, I don't know, it kind of gave me that future look, is like, is this like where it's going? Like, can my son be this high? Is he going to be this high functioning? Is he going to have this relationship with me? And, it kind of touched close to my heart. Anyways, it was like one of those moments where I was like, okay, Woody's in a similar situation as me. So if he can do this YouTube thing with all of that going on, then why can't I do the YouTube thing with all that going on? I know there's a lot more to it than that. But anyways, that's what caused me to reach out to him. And I sent him a private message on YouTube, thinking I would never get a response. This is the greatest thing about YouTube. Quick little segue here is I get so many messages, and the first sentence in the message reads this: I know you're probably not going to respond.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
And every message I get, everybody says, hey, if you're watching this video and you send me a message, please don't start it with, you're probably not going to respond.
Yeah.
It's funny because I used to do the same exact thing. So I think my message to Woody, I wish I still had the original message. It's not on YouTube stored anywhere, but I was like, I know you're probably not going to respond to this because you've got like 800 people following you, but hey, we'll throw it out there. And I started off with, hey, I just watched your video with Colin. Anyways, I sent him this message. I said, oh, wow, I just watched your video with Colin. I also have a son. He was diagnosed autistic. And, I see some of the stuff that you're doing with your son. I think that's really cool that you're doing this stuff. I said, do you have any advice for somebody who's trying to start out on YouTube? And that's another message I get a lot today. So I have a lot of sensitivity for that now. When I get a person that comes to me and they're like, oh, what should I do to start out on YouTube? I really want to respond to them now and pay it forward.
Yeah.
And, try not to ignore those depending on the volume that they're coming in. But I try to message everybody back and be like, hey, you know what? Stick to it. Push hard. It's not going to happen unless you want it to happen. It's one of those things. But lo and behold, I got a response from him. It probably wasn't 15 minutes. I think I lucked out. He was literally like watching his mail feed. Well, it went in, he responded, and it had to be 2 pages of text. And he talked to me, and the first thing he said was he hoped that I wasn't lying to him. He said, I'm responding to you right now. He's like, I really hope that you're not lying about your kid being autistic, because I think that kind of touched him too.
Yeah.
That there was another person out there that was kind of like him. And he said, I really hope you're not lying about this, but if you're honest, I think the exact sentence he uses, he said, I'm about to give you the keys to the kingdom. And I was like, that's an interesting way of putting it. And then he went on and he talked about, in not so many words, he talked about how you need to make sure that you make videos that are both entertaining and educational.
Yeah.
You have to be able to relate to people. You have to be able to stay in touch with people. He's like, you can't make it about yourself. You have to make it about like everything. And I thought that was really, really good advice, because of course the videos I was doing was like, oh, hey, this is my mouse on my desk, and this is a button here, and when you push it, things happen. And so my videos had absolutely no value beyond maybe showing somebody what the mouse was. And the funny thing is, that's not me. What you see is me now. I'm a really hyperactive individual. I've diagnosed ADHD. I've been ADHD my whole life. Million miles an hour, maybe sleep 6 hours a night. And I was like, why am I not using this in my video? Why, when I step in front of a camera, am I like, do I slow down to 5 miles an hour and become sloth man?
Yeah.
And that's the hardest thing to break on YouTube. Is it probably took me 50 trips in front of that camera before I finally got comfortable enough that I can now talk to the camera like it's another friend in the room.
Oh, of course. I can totally relate, by the way, about the child having, you said he had autism, your son, because my
Yes.
brother's got ADHD and Tourette's. He's 11 at the moment, and I can fully relate with the idea of trying to find time, making sure that you manage things correctly,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So
Yeah, he spends a lot of time up here with me.
yeah, that's
I
great. That's
can't.
also what Woody's
Yep.
son does with the Minecraft thing. They both got into Minecraft, and it's a great way to bond and spend time together.
Me and my son, we play a lot of Xbox. He doesn't quite he can't quite figure out what he's doing, but he likes having the controller and think that he's altering the outcome. So I sit behind him, and it's basically like I'm pulling the strings, but he thinks he's in charge. Yeah, no, it's a lot. But anyways, we sit there and we play the Xbox One and we play the Forza 5, and he thinks he's doing it. And now we can kind of relate to each other and we spend some time together. But at the same time, if I want, I can be like recording some game footage or something like that I might be able to use later. You can kind of mash things together. But the one thing that I don't do that Woody does, and I will never do this, is Woody put his whole family out there. Woody's got, his wife, his daughter, his son, everybody online. And I honestly don't know how he can pull that off.
Yeah, it's a very bold move.
Yes, the very first time I ever had my wife on camera, I did, and the video's still up if you guys want to go see it. But all we did is a quick video wishing everybody a happy holidays, and every single comment on it was a personal attack on my wife. And I was like, wow, I can handle the trolls. I have fun with the trolls, but I would never want her to have to deal with that.
Yeah.
And for that reason, her and my son are pretty much off limits. As far as you guys are concerned, I'm virgin for life up in this place.
I mean, you started to explore a bit more about your family with the vlog series you started up. Obviously, you haven't gone real in depth like Woody did, but is that something that you're going to be exploring in the future, or are you steering clear of that when possible?
No, that's the thing is I like talking about my family. I don't have a problem talking about my family and my family life. It's just I will never put them on camera because I don't want them to be in every video so that every single little troll coming across can identify them in public.
Yeah,
it's one of those things.
You started on the internet with YouTube at 2006. I mean, if they watch one video, they're just gonna, take that maybe to heart more than you would as a veteran of the thing. So your channel is very much centered around technology and stuff like that. So where did your love for technology start?
Well, this is actually a really cool story too, and I grew up incredibly poor. Everybody seems to think that I have like a silver spoon hanging out of my ass because I have all this today. But the honest to God truth is, I actually grew up in a place called Kitsap County in Washington State, and we were super poor. Like my dad, he could only work like he did seasonal work, so he was only working like 6 months out of the year. We lived in a house my grandpa literally built. I mean, he built in the 50s. Like went to the lumber store, bought lumber, went home and built a house.
Yeah.
And it was a pretty rickety shack. And I mean, we were on welfare, public aid. We had to go to the food bank, all that stuff growing up. So I come from that background. I don't have any wealthy relatives at all, like even to this day. And so what that did was that was a real depressing childhood, going to school and having to eat the provided meal because you couldn't afford to buy a meal.
Yeah.
And so once I got to a certain age and I got my first job when I was about 15 years old, I was like, man, this is awesome. I have some money. It was very little, but I don't know. It kind of gave me a sense of, of power, and I wanted to do it. And the other thing was with the computer stuff. Let me kind of go back a little bit. So going back to kind of my childhood, I met this guy named Kevin, and he was, it was funny because he was like in the good special education. We're talking like on the fast track to college here in second grade. So he did something called running start, where like, even though he was in second grade, he was basically earning high school credits. So he was like genius level. His IQ was through the roof. And I was the kid that was like eating glue and eating paste, and I was like I was in the opposite. I was in like the special classes where I had to like stay late after school to like learn how to write my name. I was a derpy little kid. And so anyways, me and him ended up hitting it off. Like we actually became really good friends in school and outside of school. And so he introduced me to programming on the Apple IIe. It was the first experience that I had outside of like I had a Tandy 1000 at home. And it was all right. I mean, I didn't really know how to use it, but it wasn't until second grade when I met this kid. He actually had some pull with the teachers, and they let him tutor me. So he actually ended up taking me into the computer lab when I was supposed to be in my normal classes. And he was showing me how to basically do this basic programming where it's like, oh, here, put in a line number, put in a command, do something, do an option, go sub this, do that. And I was like, I just was really drawn to that. I was like, man, that machine has an awful lot of buttons. This is going to be fun. And he worked with me, and it turned out I had an aptitude. Even though I sucked at everything else, I had an aptitude for programming. I mean, I think after him tutoring me for about a month, I wrote my first application on the Apple IIe, which was basically like an Oregon Trail ripoff. And it just fascinated me. From there on out, I was sold. The teachers told my parents at home, they're like, hey, he's doing really, really great with these computers. You guys should really push him on that because he seems to have an aptitude for it. And this is where things got really funny, is my grandparents had to buy me a computer because my parents, they didn't have any money. They were completely broke.
Okay.
My grandparents went and bought me a computer from Sears. The problem was they didn't know the difference between an Apple and a PC. So they end up coming back at me with this Laser Pal 286 12 megahertz box from Sears. And I'm like, I don't know how to use this. I turned the thing on and it like boots into GeoWorks Ensemble. And I'm like, what the hell is GeoWorks Ensemble? And it was like DOS 2 point something. And I was like, I don't know how to use this. So anyways, that changed my whole direction in life. Had they come home with an Apple, the direction would have been completely altered. Because when they brought me the PC, I had to learn how to program it, basically.
Yeah.
So they took me to the library, and I'd check out a lot of books from the library. And so I learned about a language called Pascal. And that's when I actually picked it up and started doing like really aggressive programming. Because BASIC was pretty limited in what you could do. Pascal opened up like a whole new world to me. And then I started seeking out other people that did Pascal, both at the library and on what we called online back then, which was bulletin board systems. You just had a modem and you just called up another modem, right? And I ended up making other friends through the modem that continued that education and ultimately sent me down the path of learning how to program C and then C++. And it just took off from there. But that's where my love of computers started, was with a guy named Kevin in the second grade that was just like, hey, derpy kid, you want to learn how to do something? I mean, that's literally how it started.
That's an amazing story, starting off from, like you said, literally having nothing up till, today, where you have all this awesome technology sitting around you, and you've got so much of it, you decided to make videos with it. So my next question is, would you have all the awesome tech you have now if you didn't have a YouTube channel? Because you have a lot of technology. Like in one of your latest reviews of the Bluetooth speaker that you had, you said that you actually lost that underneath other stuff in your man cave.
Yes. The short answer to that question is absolutely not. You'd have to honestly be insane to have this much stuff. I don't have enough hours in the day to use every single thing that I have here. What actually happened, but it's not that far off. And I'll tell you what, a lot of people think that the 3 screens that I have were for the YouTube channel, because that was a big boon for my channel. People are like, what the hell's this guy doing with 3 giant screens?
That was one of your most viewed videos, wasn't it? You played Diablo 3 on the...
No, it's Diablo, damn it.
Oh, I apologize.
No, it's not. I actually got ragged on for calling it Diablo through the entire video. It is.
You always make one mistake in them kind of viral videos you make, don't you?
But the thing is, I leave all the mistakes in on purpose now, because I found out that people like to be able to correct you.
Yep, they like to be able to correct you.
When you're perfect, if you do everything perfect, people literally try to make it their mission in life to pick everything that they can possibly find out about you wrong.
They'll pick on the person rather than the video at that point.
Exactly. But I just come out of the gate swinging, and I'm like, even if I'm completely wrong, I'll just leave it in. And I'll just correct it later on or put something down there, because people get excited about finding that stuff. It's like an Easter egg hunt. I mean, I've had it before. I screw up 3 minutes into the video and mispronounce something, and the first 100 comments are just that. But I'm like, those people got to engage me. It's cool. It's funny. I learned something. They got to have some fun with me. So be it.
So what was your first purchase that you would say was related to your YouTube channel? Something that you bought that you were like, this would be cool to show on YouTube, rather than I actually need this or want this?
The honest to God truth is, I have never purchased anything just for YouTube.
Okay.
To this date, I haven't. What usually happens is, well, here, let me start with how the YouTube thing kind of started taking off again. One, it was Woody gave me the inspiration, which made me start reviewing things that I already had, just stuff around the house, right? Like, oh, here's, something, here's my coffee machine that I got, whatever. So I started doing that because of the Woody interaction. What took it to the next level was my friend Greg, who is another Microsoft employee, Greg, if you're watching this video, we like to push each other. We're kind of competitive.
Yeah.
And so we were at Costco one day, and Costco had 46-inch Samsung LED panels. I think they were like $99. I think they were marked down to like $999 or something at the time. This was 2 years ago. And he looked at me and he's like, "Oh man, how cool would it be to have 3 of those?"
Oh no,
for triple.
You didn't go and buy 3 of them, did you?
Literally, that's what happened. We both literally pushed our carts up. You know, those big, huge Costco carts. I don't know if you guys.
Yeah, we have Costco in the UK.
Nice. So we go ahead and we push it up there to the aisle, and the guy cashier's looking at us like, "What the hell's up with these guys?" 'Cause I have 3 TVs on mine, and he has 3 TVs on his. We literally bought 6 TVs back to back. And so we go through the line, we get the televisions, we take them out. We're like, "What did we just do?" I get home and find out they won't even fit on my desk. So then I had to go through this whole spiel of how do I get something that these things will fit on, which ultimately ended up being this giant ass 10-person dinner table from IKEA. But you know, it was one of those things where it was in the moment, you know, and I already had big screens before. This is the thing is I started off with a 20-inch, I went to a 24, then I went to a 42-inch Westinghouse, a single screen. So I was already used to having a big screen. Yeah. But yeah, the televisions were just this like grandiose bet that we had with each other, and ultimately turned into, oh, now let's build a computer that can drive it. So you've seen my massive computer that I have down here, 32 gigs of RAM, all that stuff, water cooled. He built the same system. If you go watch like my Drunk Dirt 3 driving videos, that's at his house, and he has an identical setup to me. They're like twins. And so that's what pushed us to do that. But then once I had that all set up, I sat back and I was like, I don't know of anybody on YouTube that has something like this.
Yeah.
This is wild. So that's when I put up the video, and then that video got really rapid attention. I mean, that thing started really taking off. And I was like, oh man, so it looks like the internet likes crazy technology. And that's kind of where it sparked from there. It was the 3 screens that sparked that. But then what I ultimately did was I started buying a lot of stuff that subscribers would come in to me. They'd be like, oh man, you should see this cool piece of tech. And I'd go look at it, and I'm like, oh my God, I got to try that. Then I'd go out and get it, do a review on it, and then adapt it into my daily life. And so a lot of the technology I have, like from my headphone amplifiers, I got a pair of, you know, these things right here, everybody gives me grief for, because I think I paid like $1,500 for these. Wow. They're Samsung D800 headphones.
My computer didn't cost that much.
I know, right? So, well, and tell you the God's honest truth. I mean, they're not worth $1,500. They're phenomenal, but they're not $1,500 phenomenal. But a lot of people started introducing me to like audiophile stuff, graphic stuff. I started getting pulled in multiple directions. Well, obviously that's not sustainable, right? I can't buy all this stuff forever, and because my wife will like just leave me. So what I started doing was I started actually sending mail to companies that had products that I liked. And I was like, you know, I would just be interested in reviewing your stuff. And a couple of those companies were actually really, really responsive, and they would either, you know, give me something to review, or they'd sell it to me like at cost.
Okay.
And I was like, oh man, that's really cool. And not a lot of people bid at first. I had to get up into the probably 30,000 plus subscribers before companies would really take me seriously. But there was a lot of cool companies that would help me out. And one cool company was Ultimaker, my 3D printer.
Yep.
That I have back there. One cool thing about Ultimaker was they were straight up with me out of the gate. They're like, well, we're not going to give you like a $2,000 printer for your channel.
No.
And, okay, you know, I get that. You know, that's fine. It's my first segue into 3D printing. I went to my friend's house. He has one, and it was awesome. So I wanted one. And so I bought it. I bought it from them. And they included like a free roll of PLA or something. They did something that, you know, helped me out a little bit. And so I got the printer, I set it up, and I used it, and I made a couple of videos, and they took off. I mean, some of those videos I made, like the one with the planetary gears and stuff like that, I mean, those videos got over 100,000 views. And so Ultimaker was like, wow, your videos are actually like more popular than our video. Like, this is awesome. So then they started like giving me free material and sending me parts and upgrades and stuff like the dual extrusion kit. And they would help me out a lot. And as of recent, if you see the big glowy thing in the background there, that's actually the Ultimaker V2, and they actually sent that to me. They just gave it to me.
So you have 3 3D printers now?
I do. I have a Robo 3D and 2 Ultimakers.
Now, I've used 2 3D printers at once before, but what is it like using 3? How much quicker can you make things?
It's about 33.3% better I'm just kidding. It's the cool thing about having multiple 3D printers is that they all have something that they do that's really good. Like for instance, the Ultimaker V1 doesn't have a heated bed, but it does have dual extrusion, which means I can print two different materials simultaneously. So that's a really good purpose-built printer. The Robo 3D is a lot slower than the Ultimaker, but it has a heated bed. So, it can do these, fairly large volume prints. It just takes longer to get done. And the Ultimaker V2 kind of brings it all together and has the heated bed and a better extrusion and all of that stuff, but it doesn't have that same kind of raw feeling as the other printers do. The other printers you can do a lot more fine-grained control and stuff with and tinker and upgrade. So they all have something that they're really good at. And when you bring them together, now if you want to build something big, like my next big print that I'm going to try to do is a full-size Master Chief helmet, visor and everything. And to do that, I'm going to print it in, I think it's about 24 different pieces.
Okay. And
having 3 printers, I can do that now in different materials, different colors, different, if I want to, for the visor, I can have one printer doing that in like an XT, which is like a clear material, and I can be printing on the other ones using ABS. So it gives you that flexibility to be able to produce projects faster, which is important because if you're making videos for YouTube, you need to be able to time-lapse this stuff together. Yeah. And it's like, might be 50 hours of printing here, might be 2 minutes of video that you watch.
Yeah, I've used 3D printer before, and the one thing I have to say about it at the moment, which will be made shorter in time, is the fact that it takes so long to print anything. You want to print something really simple, like you've printed before, just basic shapes, but they take ages. Like they don't just take a little bit of time to build something that maybe is an inch square. It takes so much longer than you'd ever expect.
No, absolutely true. Like I printed that Pokeball. That was another. I think that video's got almost 300,000 views now.
Yeah.
People like Pokemon apparently on the internet.
It turns out people do like Pokemon.
They do. So printing that Pokeball, I mean, that was several hours of printing. That was probably 8 hours of printing to print it that level of detail.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize that. Nobody's going to sit around and watch 8 hours of. Yeah. It's not going to happen. So the time lapse saves me on that one. But yeah, no, the 3D printing stuff is really blowing up. I think it's a huge part of my channel now, which is funny because when I first bought the 3D printer, it wasn't for YouTube. I actually bought the 3D printer because I wanted to. I found that Thingiverse site and I was like, man, look at all these like hooks and hangers and cable management stuff that you can print. And that's why I got it. And then I ended up just starting printing crazy stuff out like Pokeballs and creepers from Minecraft, and I was like, okay, this thing has literally unlimited uses.
They're really useful. So, you bought the 3D printer started as a hobby for you, but they came after YouTube. What was your hobbies before YouTube?
My hobbies before YouTube, software development always comes first. I love software development. I did some mobile development for Windows Phone. I do a lot of development at work. I mean, that's my day job. I pretty much sit behind a compiler all day and write automation and reporting stuff. And so that's my first passion. I love software development, but the secondary passions a lot of people don't know about me is I love cars. I am hugely into cars. Okay. I take my car to the track and I go do lapping days with it. 2005 Subaru STI, stage 2.
Yeah, that's a great car. I love
it's
them.
Fantastic. Love it. So,
do you have it in the blue with the gold wheels? That's the question.
No. I got the Aspen.
No, you've got to get it with the blue with the gold wheels.
No, I thought about it, but I just love white cars. Absolutely love white cars. You don't have to wash them as much. So I got that, and that was a huge thing for me. And I did all my most of my work on the car I've done myself. And I've upgraded a lot of stuff on it. It's got like, lightweight flywheel, heavier clutch in it, a lot of tuning on the ECU, all that stuff. So that's like a big passion of mine. I absolutely love cars. I've even gone and done, the Dirtfish Rally school stuff. I've gone there and done several of their courses and actually learned how to drive a rally car. I damn near have enough points now. If I wanted, I could just go build a rally car and go enter an event. Wife probably won't go for that one.
Yeah.
Something she won't.
Probably worse than buying 3 TVs at Costco.
Exactly. But I love stuff like that. I love flying. I've flown a couple of Cessnas, and that was like the coolest thing ever. So at some point in my life, I'm going to get my pilot's license. Just haven't had the time to. But those are my passions. But a lot of people don't realize I was 280 pounds. Now I'm down under that because I've been dieting. But I'm an avid snowboarder. I've been snowboarding for 15 years. I will go do double black diamond. I will do the hardest stuff. Wow. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that. I'm a big guy, but that's my favorite thing to do is go up the slopes and everybody just kind of looks at me like, what is this guy doing? And, to the top of the black diamond and right down to the bottom again. And so that I have a lot of fun doing that. I love tearing down fat stereotypes. That's a real fun time for me.
Yeah, yeah, one of the things that people try to hit on in the internet. But I mean,
Yeah.
everybody's different. You can't really, people get thinner, people get fatter. It doesn't change their personality. It doesn't change their content.
I agree.
It's it's not really anything to do with it. So
Yep.
you talk about your hobbies you had before YouTube, the fact that you have a job as well. This isn't your full-time job, and you have a family with children. How do you balance
Yes.
everything that you do? Because you say you want to fly planes, you go snowboarding, you make YouTube videos, you have kids, you have a wife, you have a car, you go to rallies. I mean, you do so
Yes.
much. How do you fit it all in?
Well, the short answer is I don't sleep. I'm lucky if I sleep 4 hours a night.
Wow.
I have a sleeping disorder where I don't sleep. I'm always really amped up. But the most important thing to making all that possible is having a wife like mine. I met my wife back in high school. It was actually an alternative school because I got expelled from all the other schools for fighting and a bunch of other crap. But anyways, she is probably the only person on the planet that fully understands me. Like she just understands my chaos. If I want to wake up in the morning, I'm like, oh hey honey, is it okay if I go fly airplanes or is it okay if I go skydiving? She's like, yeah, go knock yourself out. Hey, I'll be here when you get home.
I can see why she wasn't angry about the 3 TVs at Costco then.
Not even at all. She pushes me. She honestly pushes. My boss was trying to sell his Dodge Viper at one point. She loves it. That's my wife's favorite car in the world. Like
Yeah,
she'd
that's a
seriously
great
go
car.
set fire to my car if it meant I'd get a Viper. And he was selling it. I think at the time, this is a long time ago, he was asking like I think it was 50 or 60,000 for it.
Wow.
And so I come home, and I mean, even to me, that's a lot of money. So I come home and I'm like, oh hey honey, my boss put his Viper up for sale for 60,000. Should I go get a loan and buy it? And she's like, oh my god, you need to do that. So she's kind of one of those people where she just completely trusts me with like all the money, all the bills, everything like that. She knows I'm going to take care of everything, so she gives me a lot of freedom in that sense. And the YouTube thing robs a lot of time away from my family. I mean, I won't lie about that. It does. When I have to go work 8-9 hours a day at work, come home and put in another 5 or 6 hours upstairs, I mean, that leaves maybe 2 hours for them a day during the week. So my wife and I, we do stuff like every week we set up a babysitter so that we can go out and have a night out at the movies and go and have a nice dinner and stuff like that. So we try to schedule time to where we can still have that like intimate time together. And with my child, every night before he goes to bed, I go down an hour before he goes to bed, regardless of what I'm doing, and we play stuff like Forza, and he gets his bath and stuff like that. So we try to make it fun for him so that he gets to see me every morning when he wakes up and every morning when he goes to sleep. But the truth is, most wives would not tolerate the amount of neglect my family gets to suit the YouTube thing, the programming stuff for the mobile platform with that, because that's with other people. It's so much.
Yeah.
But the goal is to get better and better at it, so it takes less and less time, and that is actually happening.
So what skills has YouTube taught you? You talk about how you've done developing with C++ and all Java and all that. What skills has YouTube brought you?
This is the funny thing is YouTube skills, nothing in the programming space, absolutely nada in the programming
Not even
space.
The tutorials.
Not even tutorials. The thing that YouTube did teach me though was I feel like I got a crash course in like viral marketing on the internet, because when you start a channel, like this is how I started, and hopefully this will help out some of the people watching this video with their own aspirations. And that is, when I started my channel, I would just upload a video and I would just expect people to find it.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen. You're a tiny fish in a very, very large sea. And YouTube, along the way, talking to other YouTubers and talking to my viewers and stuff like that, you learn a lot about how to expose yourself more to the internet. So the biggest things that I've done on YouTube that I've learned is, one, put tags on every one of your videos. Do not ignore the tag section. You need to literally max it out. Like literally, if you get down at the bottom, start putting in the one words down at the bottom that even remotely relate to your stuff. You have to. If you don't, everybody else doing that just goes right up to the top of the search ranking. Nobody will. You could write. I've come across people's videos before where I'm like, holy crap, it's a video of a guy like doing a burnout in a Koenigsegg $1 million car, and he's got like 103 views, and I'm like, how is this possible?
Yeah.
And it's because he didn't take any time to do a description and tags. You got to do that. But the other thing is, you have to respond to your viewers. Now, I realize once you get to a certain point, that's impossible. You have to try to do your best. But But even with 50 plus subscribers at this point in time, I still try to respond to every tweet, every Facebook I get. I can't respond to every comment on YouTube, obviously, because Google Plus screwed that whole thing up immensely. But for the most part, I try to stay in touch with everybody because that's what makes viewers want to stay around. They have to feel like they like your content and they're connected to you.
So,
go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, is this one of the things that really kept you on YouTube then, rather than going off and maybe getting that that license that you wanted for flying and stuff like that? Was that one of the things that kept you on YouTube, the community and the feedback you got?
Absolutely, 100%. The number one reason that I still do YouTube videos today, because trust me, if with all the trolling that I got early on, I would have just walked away. But the thing is you have so many people that come at you. I wake up every morning and I have 100 comments waiting for me on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube that's like, oh my God, I just found your channel. You're really awesome. Oh, I think that's really cool that you have that. Oh, that video that you made completely altered my decision and made me want to do something else. Oh, or I get a lot of messages from younger viewers too that are like, wow, you've taught me that I can achieve something that I didn't think I could achieve. And I'm like, wow. I mean, it honestly puts you on like a rush because you're like, wow, I look at myself as somebody who just makes videos and uploads them for fun, but I feel like I'm actually having a positive impact on people's lives. And that is a huge draw. I mean, it's that whole thing. It's like, it's kind of the balance between, yeah, it's cool to be famous. It's cool to be a celebrity. Yeah, that's awesome if people know who you are and they want to give you things and take things. But more for me, it's just knowing that there's people out here that actually are proud of what I did.
Yeah.
That's super. I mean, that makes me so happy. It's like, you brush all these little trolls away under the rug that are, they're just being jealous or just being an ass just to impress their friends. You brush that 3% off. And everybody else is just saying, wow, keep going. This is awesome. It's like the biggest motivation ever.
Yeah, it's a great thing to see. Like when I put out my first video, my interview with Geordie Jordan on Wings of Redemption, I noticed that obviously with the channel base that I've gained is mainly because of Geordie uploading a video to his channel. So I got a lot of positive comments. Now there were still some negative comments, but you've got to understand that because they feel like I'm empowered because of that video to them. They feel that they have to do something that makes them feel powerful, and that is, finding a flaw in you, finding a flaw in what you said, he said, your video quality, the things that happened, and it's a part of YouTube and it's a part of the internet, but you can always try and just ignore it, work around it, not listen to it, and just know that it's probably not true.
No, that's exactly it. It's like I was telling you kind of offline, you got to picture them in their underwear, right? I mean, anybody that's willing to watch your video, spend their time to leave a comment and push that submit button just to tear you down.
Yeah.
They've got issues. They're not a person that you should trust with life advice is what I'm saying.
Oh, definitely not.
And as far as like the good viewers, they outweigh the negative viewers by huge magnitude. Absolutely, just catastrophic magnitude. And that's what makes it worth it for me. It genuinely does. It literally builds me up, more than just about anything I do in my life. When I can wake up every morning and I've got all these people just pushing me to go further and make more videos and telling me, oh yeah, you're funny, you're doing a good job. All that helps me make better videos because I don't get in front of the camera feeling like I'm naked.
Yeah.
I don't get in front of the camera and think, oh my God, I'm being judged poorly for what I do. And the other thing is, just to kind of go off the beaten path a little bit, is you have to stay true to yourself. You absolutely have to. I learned this early on too. Don't be somebody you're not. When somebody comes at you, if you've got a video and you've got 100 comments that say, wow, that was really cool, good work, and you've got 2 comments down at the bottom that were like, you're fat, you need to lose weight, and the other one's like, your camera's a piece of crap, you need to change the audio.
Yeah.
Ignore them. The thing is every time that I tried to change to make those people happy, I pissed off my core audience that liked me for what I did and who I was.
Yeah. There's no point changing for the minority when you've got the majority on your side.
Yeah. Best thing you can do when you get a comment, even if it's and there's people that leave really nice comments. I'm not saying that they're all trolls. I've gotten comments before that were to the effect of, hey Jerry, I really, really loved your videos in the past. I loved how you were doing all this gaming stuff, but you're just not doing very much gaming anymore. And I feel like you've kind of lost touch with the gamers. So I'm gonna go ahead and unsubscribe.
There's a huge...
And when I see that comment,
there's
Go
a
ahead.
huge area of constructive criticism that people can put out there. And on the
Absolutely.
last video I got, there was a lot of constructive criticism because, it's my first video I was doing in this format. I'm,
Yep.
smoothing out all the flaws. A lot of people were saying the music's too loud. Oh no, the music's not the right kind. It's actually okay. So I'm taking all these things on board. And with the video that I produce next, I hope to appease more people and, try and make everybody happy.
Exactly. But that's just it, is if one person complains about something, ignore it.
Yeah.
If two people complain about it, think about it a little harder. If half your people complain about it, then maybe think if there's a mitigation there. Because I literally early on would get one comment out of 100 that was like, I really don't like the music choice, or I really hate your intro. And I would go spend 8 hours making a new intro, and then everybody would be like, where the hell did the old intro go? We love that.
You down
it really knocks you down. Exactly. So now what I do is, if I do a video like I did my last, this would be a good example, is I did my last nerd block unboxing. I love those little nerd block things. Those are cool. Awesome. And they send them to me. Like I think I subscribed for the first one, and they liked the video, and they just kept sending them to me ever since. And but the cool thing about those is I get a little wild with those unboxings because there's so much room to just be myself.
Yeah.
It's not like I have to talk about technical aspects of it. I'm unboxing a bunch of cool toys and I'm playing with them. So, I get a little out of control sometimes, and I'll throw some, sexual innuendos in there, and I'll take it out. And a few people do get offended when I do that. But the majority love it, and they really like seeing that side of me and seeing that I can just be myself online. So I can't let those couple of people sabotage me. You're always going to lose people. I've lost 8. I think last time I looked at my stats a couple weeks ago, I lost, over the lifetime of my channel, I've lost 8,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
Out of, 58,000 or whatever. So I've lost 8,000 subscribers. That seems like a lot. But for me to retain those 8,000, I wouldn't have been true to myself, and I probably would have chased off 24,000 of the ones that liked me for who I am.
Yeah, exactly. It's not.
So take it with a grain of salt. You can take the feedback and choose whether to use it or not. But my suggestion to you is, if it's just one person giving you feedback that's going to radically change who you are or how your channel is, you need to just cut them loose. Just take their feedback, let them go.
Yeah, the minority is just not worth what the majority think. They're not. Just because they speak different doesn't mean that they have more power or more, knowledge about what they're talking about. It just means they have a different opinion, and everybody has different opinions. Just on the internet, it sounds so much more solid and like a serious comment, because there's no sort of sarcasm, there's no emotions on the internet. You can't tell when someone's joking, when someone's being serious, when someone really actually doesn't like you, which is normally none of the time. Nobody has ever hated anybody really from the internet. They just dislike the persona that the person's publicly put out there. You have no idea what some people are like behind closed doors, because they choose when they record the videos. They choose how they act in front of camera. Some people act like they always do in front of camera, and other people, maybe a bit more quiet when they're, with their family and kids. And it's just how you perceive yourself on the internet.
Yeah, and that's the other thing people need to really, really get out of their heads is, when you're watching, everybody on the internet's a character.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I'm not myself in front of the camera, but I'm not 100% myself, and I do like to ham it up, and I do like to have fun. It is who I am times 10 to 50% given the video.
You're as much Barnacules Nerdgasm as you are Jerry Berg.
Exactly. And it's one of those things where people, they try to look at this and they're like, okay, so you look behind the camera here. That's not my life, guys.
Yeah.
That's a quarter of a room in my house that just happens to be upstairs with an air conditioner in the window. No, people come at me and watch my videos. They'll watch one video and they'll be like, oh my God, virgin for life, living in your mom's basement. Oh, your rich parents bought you all that stuff. And I'm like, they jump to these conclusions that in their head they believe themselves. And you're like, wow, you guys really don't understand how reality TV works, obviously. It's like they look at it and they think that's you. And it's like, no, I'm a guy that wakes up in the morning, gets out of bed, takes a shower. Luckily, you guys don't have to watch that on YouTube yet. And, I get out, I dry myself off, I make myself a cup of coffee, breakfast, I kiss my wife and kid goodbye, and I go to the office. And you guys don't see that. Yeah. And I'm there for 8 hours. I go to meetings, I talk to people, I do things, I write code, and ultimately you guys run our software. So that's what I do. And then I come home and I do this as like a hobby and an unwinder and to have fun, And people come at me all the time. They're like, oh my God, you're a sellout and you're making millions of dollars on YouTube. No, guys, I can tell you right now, even to this day with as many subscribers I spend more money on this damn cave, this channel than I make. And that's going to happen for a while yet. But it's not for the money. The money helps sustain it and grow it to the next level.
So everybody out there watching, next time you watch a reality TV show, watch the credits. there's a writer involved. They have to write the things they
Yes.
do. They don't just happen. You know,
Exactly.
it doesn't work like that, unfortunately. You'd like to think it does, but it doesn't.
Yeah, I'm gonna clue you guys in really quick. Todd Hoffman on Gold Rush. Yeah, you don't not find gold for like 8 seasons and still have enough money to go for a bigger operation every year. I'm just saying, there's a third party involved. All right.
You don't find brand new cars in trailers or in the storage lockups. Nobody's ever done that and thought, oh, I forgot my car, and then just lost
Exactly. Oh, look, a glowing Mercedes was sitting under those bales. Yeah, no, it just doesn't happen.
Never works. So what is one thing that you wish you knew, something that you know now that you wish you knew when you started YouTube?
Oh, the thing that I wish, gosh, there's probably quite a few of them. But the thing that I probably wish I knew the most was how many people would know who I am. And I didn't think that I would ever reach any kind of status where people would think I was a celebrity. And that's still, it's cool and it bugs me at the same time because like I said earlier, I don't like it when I get a message from somebody and they're like, I know you're not going to read this. I know you're too busy.
Yeah.
I know you're too important. Oh my God, and then I respond to them and the next comment I get is, oh my God, I can't believe you responded to me. Oh, it's made my whole life. And I'm like, I'm not Michael Jackson, guys.
Surely that's what you expected when you asked a question in a message. Yes. You expected a reply.
Exactly. And I get a lot of people that send me a question that's like, hey, would it be all right if I asked you a question? Because they don't even feel like it's okay. It's like, no, guys, even if I have 1 million subs, it might make it harder to respond to you. But in a nutshell, no, I'm just, this is a hobby. It's something fun. I love meeting people. Don't get me wrong. I love the whole aspect of people knowing who I am and enjoying what I do. But I don't ever want to get to that level where people just watch me because I'm famous.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like, oh, somebody got a response from me. They don't give 2 shits about what I do. They got a response from me, so they think that's cool and go brag to their friends about it. No, I'm a guy. I got a wife. I got a kid. I got a cool job. I do this as a hobby, and I don't see that changing. Even if I had 1 million subs, I'm not quitting my day job. I love my day job. You know, I love coding. I couldn't just go and do YouTube full time. I'd feel like there was an empty void in my life. But this is a lot of fun, and I don't plan on quitting anytime soon. This is a blast.
Yeah, that's it's definitely interesting. That's my last question, actually. Does your future lie in YouTube or as a job or a hobby, really? And I think you've just answered that. You know, this is always going to be a hobby for you. There is a lot of people like Wings, who I talked to before this, who has made this into a job that's been his career, you would say, for the last 6 years, and he wants to move on soon, and that's what people do in jobs. But for you, this is just a hobby, and you have no intentions of making it a job.
No, I do not want to make this a job. The biggest thing is I started this as a hobby and I want to keep it a hobby. Yeah. I don't, this is why I keep it separate from the work that I do. And this is why I haven't, done any exclusive sponsorships with any companies or anything like that. Just to be crystal clear, sponsorships are important to channels. If you want to be a career YouTuber, you have to have the sponsorships. But for me, since it's a hobby, I want to stay disconnected. If companies send me stuff, it's because they just send me stuff. I don't accept money from them. I don't let them guide the videos. I don't let them direct anything like that. It has to be a company willing to do that. And I get a lot of people that come at me and they're like, we'd like to sponsor you. We'll give you this much a month based on viewership. And they want to do a proper contract. And I'm like, no. So I don't want to do contract stuff personally because I need to be able to walk away from this at any point in time. I have a wife. I have a kid. I have a job that could change any day. I need to be able to walk away if it be for 3 days, 5 days, a week, a month. And if I have those contracts, those companies are going to have certain expectations of me. And I don't want to let them down. And, and that's my personal preference. But if you're doing this as a full-time job, oh my God, yes, you need those contracts. And it doesn't mean that you're a sellout. It doesn't mean that you need to alter your persona for those companies. A lot of these companies want you to be honest about their products. If you watch a lot of tech reviewers online, they'll be sponsored by a company and they'll still point out the flaws in the product.
Definitely. Yeah.
Because it's a smart thing to do. You have to be yourself. That company's backing you up because they respect your opinion, good, bad, or otherwise. And so people try to come at me and call me a sellout. And it's like, no, I'm not a sellout. I spend more money making this room and camera equipment. I mean, I went and bought a Canon 5D Mark III completely out of pocket. That was like $3,500. Yeah. I bought another lens that was like $1,500 or $2,000. I bought another probably $2,000 worth of audio equipment, all out of my own pocket and out of my savings. It's not like everybody also thinks I'm a millionaire. Trust me, I'm not even close. I make the same as every other software developer I know. it's just I dipped into savings huge for this, and my wife supported me on it because I showed her how much fun I was having doing it, and she really, really got behind that. She's like, "Wow, that is really, really cool." And she even watches. She watches a lot of my videos. I don't let her read the comments, but she watches the videos, and I enjoy that. I get a lot of gratification out of that. And then the other thing is that's kind of a little bit of a sidestep away from that is when my son gets older, I want him to be able to come to my YouTube channel and watch all this.
Yeah.
Because how many people get to see their parents like from the perspective when they were a child later in life? It's rare.
Normally only the big celebrities or the people who've had TV appearances where they can say
yes.
And even then, how do you find some of these TV appearances? Because not everything ends up on YouTube, not everything ends up on the internet. Most TV broadcasts are just stored away on a hard drive in a building somewhere, and you're not actually ever going to go see them again. Whereas this is you're documenting, some of your daily life with your vlogs you've recently been doing.
Yeah.
But also just how you were when you were younger, what you were into, just the things you loved. And that is a great thing that you can look back on in 10 years, 20 years, however
Absolutely.
long.
It's like a miniature legacy. It's like, if I got hit by a bus tomorrow or, God forbid something happened to me, my family has a piece of me out there.
Yeah.
And there's a group of people that knew what I did, and that's comforting. It's kind of like having a living will in a way, right? Everybody out there is kind of an extension of what you're doing. It's like what you did lives on. It might not be a legacy like curing cancer or saving the world, but at least I impacted a handful of people's lives, and that's comforting. And then my son can come back and watch those and be like, wow, my dad was actually a goofball and wasn't such a hard ass.
Yeah.
It's like when I'm in my 60s and I'm sitting on my porch and I'm like, hey kids, get off my damn lawn, I want my son to be able to pull his freaking holographic projector out of his pocket and be like, hey, Dad, you actually used to be fun. Here, watch this. It's kind of a reminder. This is the point of my life where I want to remember. This is when I had fun and when I was fun, and I always want to remember that.
Yeah, it's a great way to reflect. So that's me out of the questions, and I think we've had a great talk here about why you started YouTube, what you think you're going to be doing in the future, and a lot about you and a lot about how you managed to keep everything in tilt with your family and stuff like that. So I'd like to thank you very much, Jerry, for coming on How I Became with me. And make sure you subscribe to his channel. There'll be a link down in the description and at the end of the video. And I'll talk to you guys next time.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Bye.